And the good thing is, I mean, these are things that we would have needed to get better at and improve upon, even if we had found a way to win each of those games. When you lose, it has a way of exposing or highlighting areas where you need to grow. So in that way, particularly in early February, there's a silver lining in that if we can grow and improve, and as I told the guys, if we can internalize those games, then they can be good for us long term.
Free throws seems to be an area where the team is traditionally good and yet has struggled at times. What do you chalk that up to?
Well, that's one where those two games are different. National Marquette Day, if you look at it, since I've been here, I don't know about before that, for whatever reason, our guys get overhyped early in the game, and we miss some free throws, we miss some layups, some shots. The shots we got against UConn, and the fact that we took 21 more field goal attempts than them, usually that combination of those two things should lead to us winning the game. But there were some other factors that, led to the opposite. We also turned them over, I think, 25 times. But they made too many threes, and they were able to get to the foul line.
Here that Shaka Smart said that St. John's played with incredible violence. And I'm going, yeah? And they go, well, I've just never heard a coach say that the other team played with violence before. I said, well, you need to listen to our basketball show on Thursday nights because Shaka Smart talks about violence all the time. Remind people what you mean when you say that a team is playing with incredible violence. It is not an indictment. It is more of a compliment.
Oh, for sure it's a compliment. Well, as you know, I'm a big fan of football, even though I never played football, and I think there's a lot of things that we can learn as basketball coaches from football, and that's one of the things they talk about, being a more violent team. So for us in a basketball setting, violence is being a more aggressive team, being a nastier team, being a tougher team, being a team with more urgency first to the floor, a team that hits the other team before you get hit. And obviously this all has to be within the quote-unquote rules of the game, or at least the way the game is being officiated at that moment in time, which can change from half to half or moment to moment within the game. But if you can do those things, and if you think about it, for all the Marquette fans out there, think about the best Big East teams over the years since Marquette's been in the Big East. Those great Jay Wright Villanova teams, some of the other great teams that have been in this league, they've been able to strike the balance of basically fouling a lot without it being called, to put it bluntly. And doing so with their lower body and their chest and different parts of their body, not necessarily their hands or their arms, because that's an easy one to call, but being a more violent team. And, when we're at our best, that's who we are. And we've certainly had our moments with that. It's funny, I was talking to someone today, and they were talking about Stevie Mitchell and, how much he gets away with fouls. And I just kind of chuckled because from our perspective, we don't look at it that way because we're Marquette people. But, that's certainly the way that the other teams look at it.
We'll talk about Stevie Mitchell a little bit more as the show goes on. Named to the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year watch list. Of course, everyone in here knows that is a well-deserved honor, and we hope that there will be more as the year goes on. Not easy to talk about, but obviously we will turn the page, continue talking about the guys on the team and a little bit more about Marquette's journey going forward. But first, ESPN Milwaukee will be broadcasting live along with appearances from Iggy and the Marquette cheer team at Steinhoffel's in Waukesha on Highway F during the Marquette Spirit Sales event on Saturday, February 8th. That's just 2 days from now. From now through February 9th, you'll get a $100 Marquette Spirit Shop gift card when you spend more than $1,999 at any Milwaukee area Steinhoffel's. Since 1934, Steinhoffel's has been Wisconsin's furniture and mattress destination for quality, selection, and service. It is now 100% employee-owned. Visit Steinhoffel's for the Marquette Spirit Sale. More with Shaka Smart right after this on the Marquette Basketball Hour, live from Motor Bar.
Mike's up.
Go ahead.
Back here at Motor Bar and Restaurant at the Harley Davidson Museum for Marquette Thursdays with Shaka Smart. Marquette fans, don't miss your chance to be part of the excitement downtown at Fiserv Forum. Senior night against St. John's on March 8th is already sold out. Limited tickets still available for upcoming games against DePaul, Seton Hall, and Providence. Secure your tickets today at gomarquette.com/tickets or call 414-288-GOMU. I was just asking Shaka Smart during the break if he'd share with us the theme for either of those games. Sometimes it's just nice to know the direction you were going, what your focus was on, and what you wanted the guys to kind of have their minds on. So for either of the games, what was the theme?
Honestly, I flushed the theme from the game out of my memory once the game ends because my mind is on the Creighton game theme. So it's kind of like the movie Men in Black, that little thing. I have them all recorded in my phone, but...
Do you reuse themes? Do you find that you can bring them back another time and they can be as effective?
I reuse themes from previous years, but very, very rarely will we use the same theme in a second game in the same year.
Okay. Let's talk about this stretch because we mentioned it before. You had the 2 games. Now you guys are facing Creighton. What's the mindset? It feels like a big rah-rah thing from you, or focusing on this stretch might not be something you would do. How do you attack a section of the schedule like this?
We really don't look at it like that with our team. As a staff, we'll talk about segments of the season and where we need to be at in certain areas like player development and, the load, a physical load on guys and where they are, and culturally points of emphasis. But honestly, with our team, it's broken into 3-day segments normally. Practice 2 days before, which was today. Practice the day before, which is tomorrow. In the case of a road game, travel the day before, tomorrow, and then the game day. The game's either during the day or at night. So this stretch is no different than any other one. About half the time, there's an off day before the practice 2 days before. So that was yesterday was an off day. You have to give the guys an off day per the NCAA. And then about half the time there's not an off day. So for example, when we played UConn, that was a Saturday. The next day was Sunday, we had practice because we were playing on a Tuesday against St. John's. So the Sunday was 2 days before.
So in football, which we talk about a lot, they do break the season up into quarters, and similarly, they try to win quarters. Do you guys do anything like that? Do you say, like, this quarter of the season and you try to win the quarter? Is it because guys, we always talk about how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? Do you ever just try to break things down into smaller, more manageable segments?
This is what I'm telling you, Jen. Listen very carefully. The smaller, more manageable segments are one game. That's the segment. So it's not like 3 games, it's not 4 games. I've worked for coaches that did that. What I've found in today's generation, today's guys, is that if you get too far ahead, they can lose sight of what they need to do today. Now, there might be a rare case where maybe we've got a couple road games in a row in a week, and we can package our road mentality together with those in that week. But for the most part, one game at a time. Sorry if that's boring.
Not boring at all. I think everybody appreciates any insight to the program and how you have chosen to run things given all of your experience and success. I was able to go to practice last week, loved it, very spirited. You said you came straight from practice just now. How was practice today?
Yeah, that's why I'm always like running in here because, on Thursdays we practice a little bit later than we do on certain other days. So depending on how long the practice goes, I'm running right over here. But it was great. It was definitely some conflict today. We had several members of our women's soccer team came to practice because they wanted to observe practice and how we do things. And I walked over to them just as practice was starting, and our assistant coaches were doing what we call vitamins on each end. And I said, you guys picked a good day to come. And it was very spirited. There was some real conflict in this practice in a good way. I see Coach Creighton actually is doing this game on TV.
I was thinking the same thing when it started.
And so it was probably reminiscent of maybe some of Coach Creighton's practices, the way that, he wasn't afraid to get those guys, going at each other.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed, and I mentioned to you when I went to practice last week, there wasn't a lot of yelling. And I'm not saying that yelling is synonymous with conflict, but it was very joyful. There were certainly moments where you stopped practice and said, we got to do it this way in order to make sure that you are getting the most out of each drill. Do you yell at practice?
Oh, yeah. Ask the women's soccer team if there was yelling. Now, the tricky thing in our gym, and there's several people here that have been to practice, because as you guys know, I opened up that invitation to folks that come to the radio show. If you yell in our gym, you better be in the right place and positioned the right way for the person to be able to make out what you're yelling. Otherwise, it's just kind of noise.
Right.
There's not the best acoustics in there. So sometimes what's most important is more, not so much the volume, but that there's not 7 people talking at once, and that whoever you're trying to communicate with is facing you and can make out what you're saying. But yeah, I'll change the volume from low to high to very low. Sometimes that gets people attention better than anything. And today there was a real reminder to those guys that in practice that, hey, as much as we all love each other and being here every day and what we do, we're here to win, and we're here to do what goes into winning. And if that doesn't happen in the game before, or in this case 2 games before, there has to be a real sense of urgency, and some would say even maybe a discomfort in the moment to affect that and create that. At the same time, these guys are human beings, and the last thing you want to do, especially in today's day and age, is dehumanize them. We're not doing that. I will never do that. It's about humanizing them, but then also activating them. Activating the competitor in them, activating the chip on their shoulder to go be the best version of themselves. Because if you watch our games, and if you ever see a player not at his best, there's a reason mentally, emotionally, spiritually behind that. It's not because he can't play. If he gets in the game for Marquette, trust me, he can play. It's a matter of just scrubbing off all this stuff that might be on a guy's mind and helping him be at his best so that he can go attack and play. And then, by the way, the other team's got really good guys too, so it's not going to be peaches and cream out there playing against Kadari Richmond. He's an old guy too who knows how to play, who's going to attack and make plays. So now, if it's our best against their best, then it's a really, really fun game.
To Coach's point about the volume in the gym, last week I had written some things down that I wanted to ask him about. He was saying to his team, and one of the things I said to him, he said, "I didn't say that." I said, "Well, it was really loud in there. I might have misheard it, so I apologize if I wrote down the wrong thing."
I often wonder, and this would be the case if you're in a gym with perfect acoustics, but I often wonder what percentage of the things that the coaches say do the guys actually hear. And then the next layer is, how much do they retain?
Yeah.
Even if you hear 100%, that doesn't mean you retain everything there. So that's why, in coaching, you never want to overcomplicate things, because instead of 100 things that you're throwing at them, if you throw 10 and they're able to retain all 10, then that's better than you throwing 100 things at them and them retaining 15, because the 85 things that they didn't retain, there might be something in there that determines the game.
I mentioned earlier Stevie Mitchell is a candidate for the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year. We have been banging that drum here in Milwaukee with Marquette fans for quite a while, it seems. What do you think that honor would mean to him?
Well, believe it or not, Stevie is a human being. He's not a cyborg. Some people think if you cut him open, there's wires in there, but he's a person. And recognition is meaningful to him because, listen, every person every person wants significance. You know, that's one of the things that every person strives for and yearns for. And Stevie definitely is that way. So I think that would be a recognition of his significance. And, you know, unfortunately with those awards, a lot of times they're really based on statistics. I think that for Stevie, I know for Stevie, his impact on our team defensively, but also culturally and offensively, it falls under the category of what my man Mike Tomlin says is beyond that which can be measured. You know, you cannot measure Stevie Mitchell in terms of his impact. You can say he got this many deflections, you can say he averages this many steals, but the way he impacts our team, it really won't truly be felt until he's gone. And then when he's gone, you're like, wow, man, where's Stevie? We need him. And that's, you know, that's how we feel about Tyler and Oso this year. You know, there's especially, you know, these last couple of games, man, you know, Oso out there, you know, wow, you know, he really did this. But that's why I'm a big believer in appreciate the heck out of these guys while you have them. Don't wait till after the fact to appreciate them. Appreciate them in the moment. And I think that goes for everyone associated with Marquette.
We'll take a break here on the Marquette Basketball Hour with head coach Shaka Smart. Want to talk to him about Cam Jones, who is also a finalist for the Bob Cousy Award. We'll talk about that transition as Cam continues to excel in the point guard spot. But guys, we've got Amadou coming up in just a few moments. I know he's been making the rounds, taking pictures and signing pieces of paper for everybody or pictures for everybody. So we will chat with him when we return on the Marquette Basketball Hour. Back here at Motor Bar and Restaurant at the Harley Davidson Museum, tonight's Marquette player interview is brought to you by Wintrust, Wisconsin's bank. It's the official banking partner of Marquette University and home to Marquette Checking with free ATMs nationwide. We welcome in Amadou. You guys can clap for that. There you go. Right? Make him feel welcome, right? So we were just chit-chatting here during the break, guys, and you guys know Al has Philly roots. Is there anything going on this weekend that has Philly roots or Philly connections? I know.
Fly Eagles.
He's fine. It's fine. So big game this weekend.
Yep.
How long have you been an Eagles fan, and what does it mean to you to have them in the Super Bowl again?
Man, I've been an Eagles fan since, I want to say, 5th grade when I really started watching football. And I remember when we won the Super Bowl, about 7 years ago, I think. I could be wrong, but, with Nick Foles, that moment was really emotional for me. So, it means a lot to me to be an Eagles fan, and I'm excited that we're back at the Super Bowl again.
Saquon Barkley is one of my favorite players to watch. I got to do a profile on him when he was at Penn State. Unfortunate what happened when he was with the Giants, but man, is Philadelphia benefiting from their mistake. How fun has it been to watch a guy like him?
Man, it's good to see because I'm pretty sure he's from Pennsylvania. He went to Penn State, and it's good to see him, playing back at home and actually putting on for the city. So it's really good to see him playing for the Eagles at least. Yeah, he's been doing great things for us.
Al Amadou hanging out with us here at Motor Bar and Restaurant. All right, Al, for those who don't know, how did you end up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin at Marquette University?
Man, I was at an open gym and Coach Cody came and he was recruiting me. He was supposed to watch me play, but I had dislocated my toe, so it was just, at that point, we were just having a conversation. And he kind of just, he was really interested in my personality and more just like who I was as a person. And, I think he saw a lot of potential and growth in me, just because of who I was at heart. And he thought Coach would really like me. So it got started right there. And then ever since, they've been coming to all my games, recruiting me really hard. And, I just kept in touch with them. And I just felt like it was the right decision. I felt really welcome. I felt like I built really good. I had built a really good relationship with Coach Smart and the staff. Ever since I was started getting recruited, so it was an easy decision for me, for sure.
What has been the toughest part of the transitioning to a Division I program, tough Big East schedule? What has been the most difficult part for you?
Just coming in as a freshman?
Yeah.
I would definitely say the physicality, the speed, everything just a lot faster. You're playing with grown men who really are playing for something. So the stakes are everything's different. So you just gotta grow up in the moment. It's fast and you gotta pick up. But I think with the support around me and all our players, teammates, just the way we help each other, we make that process a lot easier for each other. But that's all. Just the relationships we build with each other. So it definitely is hard, but we get through it together for sure.
What went into the decision to redshirt this season, and what has that been like for you? I know you're a competitor. You want to be out there contributing to the team on the court. We know that as a redshirt, you're running scout or you're involved in scout team. That obviously contributes to success as well. But what has that experience been like for you?
Redshirting, it definitely is. It was definitely hard. It is hard, but I'm starting to really just fall in love with the process, and even my relationship with Todd, I feel like grown because he's been around here really long. He knows what he's doing, and I'm just following his blueprint and just really looking like I really want to grow. And I think my relationship with him is going to be really important for how my next season comes out for me as an individual. So I feel like the rest of the year is definitely, it's hard to watch the guys playing, seeing plays that I can make out there, but I know I'm just going to be patient and take it one day at a time, just help us do whatever we can. So, yeah.
You mentioned dislocating your toe when you were in high school, so you have been injured and had to watch before. What is the benefit of that vantage point? Not necessarily being on the court, but do you find yourself seeing things that you might not see if you were out there playing in games?
Yeah, for sure. The game slows down for me, and I'm able to really just sit there and process what's going on and be able to learn. So just trying trying to grow from the experience is always important. Just being able to respond from injuries and doing what you need to do, like just what's the most next important thing. So just trying to stay focused on the task I have at hand and being ready to learn anything, staying ready. So I would say that.
So I was at Marquette when Dwayne Wade was at Marquette. That's how old I am. It's been a very long time. But the point I was trying to make is I remember him saying that. He sat out that year. He would practice with the guys, and he was involved in many different ways, but he couldn't play. And he always talks about the stuff he learned that year, about himself, about the game, and he talks about how that was invaluable for his growth. So I appreciate that you're seeing that as well, that while it's frustrating to not be able to contribute the way you want to, you recognize there is a value to what you're going through. So let's talk a little bit about Scout Team, because we talked about that last week. You guys are good. You guys are really good. And it shouldn't be a surprise because, as Coach said, if you're on the Marquette roster, if you're playing for Marquette, you have to be good. But what type of pride do you take in making things as difficult as possible for the starters out there?
I'm gonna just be honest. When it comes to offensive rebounding, I feel like if I'm not the best at it, then I'm on the way there. So I feel like just making it really hard for them to box me out and crashing the glass and just making rebounding, something that's going to be really important for me. And also I've just been working on my cutting a lot, just being a really good cutter at, being specific with when I need to do it and, the timing of all of it.
I know that the Marquette fans out there who are listening are hearing you say rebounding and going, can't wait to get you out on the court, get you under the basket, pulling down some offensive and defensive boards. Al Amadou hanging out with us here. All right, we were talking earlier about Stevie Mitchell and being a Defensive Player of the Year finalist. What is it like playing with a guy like that? He's got constant energy. We watched it happen a couple of games ago. What is it like seeing him out there on a nightly basis?
Man, it's crazy talking about it because I remember my first AAU workout ever, just getting into basketball because I started, 8th grade, 9th grade, and he was at my first workout.
Because he's from that area also.
Yeah, we had played for the same organization, travel team organization, so watching Stevie's growth has been amazing, and seeing what he's doing right now is just makes me so proud, and I aspire to be like him and follow behind his footsteps, and when my time's ready, I'm gonna be ready. So watch Stevie just do what he does and trying to be like him, honestly, to being myself. Seeing him be himself inspires me to be myself even more. Just how positive, our positive vibe, that spirit that we have, that little unique special spirit that we have. I feel like if I can access that, and use it the way Stevie channels it, I'm gonna be able to be a really special player. So,
who is the player in your locker room that you have learned the most from?
The most?
Now it can be basketball related, X's and O's, or it can be philosophical, transitioning to Marquette, any of those things.
I want to say Sean Jones. I feel like the mentality he takes when he gets on the court is just really, he's in kill mode. So I've been really trying to learn a lot from him, and he always been one of my favorite basketball players ever since I started playing, because I started watching his videos of Sean Jones.
His YouTube videos?
Yeah, his YouTube videos, and it's crazy how he's my teammate. I'm gonna be playing with him for 2 seasons. It's crazy. So even last season, most of the lobs he threw me or assists came from him. My first putback was from him, his missed layup. So I feel like me and Sean are gonna have a really special connection going into next season and season after that. But I'll definitely say Sean. I'll definitely learn the most from him.
And we don't want to get too far ahead, but guys, it will be very exciting to have Al and Sean out there on the court representing the Golden Eagles in these Big East games. Al, nobody gets to this place, to this position, without an incredible support staff. Who are the people who have lifted you up and carried you on this journey?
And I would definitely want to shout out my mom, because she, working as a single mother, taking care, of a child is hard. And I feel like me growing up and watching her work, it's just it gave me that mentality. I gotta push through a lot of things in life. So she got me prepared for this. A lot of coaches. I want to thank Coach Jay. He's my first AAU coach. He taught me how to shoot a basketball, dribble, everything. Coach Kev, Philly Pride coach. I've been with him for so long now. You know, he kind of put that grit in me, that toughness mentality at least when it comes to that aspect of the game. Just being tough, playing with heart. And Coach Will, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of coaches out there that helped me along my path. And I think Coach Will, Coach Kev, Coach Jay, Coach Sandy, Coach Jules, my senior year high school coach and junior year high school coach, just like, I learned a lot from them. Yeah. So those guys have been helpful.
Al, you take a lot of pride in being from Philadelphia. In what way did your Philadelphia roots shape you to the player and person you are today?
My personality, for sure. I would say that. I feel like my spirit, just like, it's always been, like, you know, people like to say Philly's the city of brotherly love, but I'm always like, if you know me, you know that's just like kind of how I am, especially with my teammates. Like, I just like showing love a lot. And also, they put like I said, Philly toughness in me. I want to say that. Philly toughness. It's a different type of toughness, but me being able to access that is when I'm at my best. So.
Last thing we have for you tonight, Al, give us a scouting report. What can we expect to see from the matchup against Creighton this weekend?
Matchup versus Creighton, I think we're ready. We're ready. After these 2 losses, I feel like we came together and we grew as a collective group, and, you know, it's a bond of pursuit. We're going to do this together. We got better together, and we had a really sharp practice today. So I'm really confident in our team and our coach. And I think we'll go after this and chase it.
Everybody listening, excited to hear that for sure, as Marquette looks to rebound after the 2 losses this past week. Al Amadou, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us here at Motor Bar and Restaurant. We'll take a break, get Coach Shaka Smart back up here, and he'll give us the scouting report for the matchup against Creighton this weekend. But before we go, Marquette fans, Buffalo Wild Wings is the official viewing party location for Marquette road games this season. Check out the Golden Eagles watch party schedule at gomarquette.com/BWW. The next watch party is February 21st at the West Allis Buffalo Wild Wings. They're taking on Villanova. That's a 6 p.m. start. Let's go Sports Bar. Our next show is February 13th when Royce Parham will join us here at Motor Bar and Restaurant. Happy to be back with the head coach as we talk a little bit about the game they've got on the schedule ahead. You know, Marquette has been playing Creighton for about as long as the program has been going on, for about 108 years. Golden Eagles claimed a 79-71 decision earlier this season at Fiserv Forum. That game on January 3rd. Cam Jones led the way with 22 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists. And that was the last time, Coach, that Creighton lost this year. They have rattled off 8 straight wins since then. What do you expect to see from the Creighton squad this weekend?
Man, they're playing great. They beat Providence on the road last night. Kalkbrenner, their big kid that's been there for 18 years, had 35 points. He was terrific. He had the look on his face of a guy who's in his last year that understands, I want to make the most of this. And then Ashworth, the smaller guard, who has not been at Creighton for 18 years, but has been in college basketball that long, he played terrific as well. He had 23 points. He shoots the ball from 3 anytime he's within about 18 feet. And so everything starts with those two. They've got obviously some other guys that are playing terrific basketball as well. But when they're at home, the way they play in transition is with great force. The way that they execute their stuff in the half court is with great precision. And so we're really going to have to step up to that challenge.
I love the way that you described Kalkbrenner, who you mentioned had 35 points. He also had 12 rebounds in that game. Preseason Big East Player of the Year. This idea of recognizing the moment and wanting to seize it. How can you convey that to your guys as well, who might not be in their last year, playing in the Big East, playing with their guys? How do you convey that to them to kind of like take advantage of what the opportunity in front of you presents?
Well, I think you just talk about it. You can't force that down someone's throat, and they have to internalize it. And I think we've had, our seniors, for example, at different moments this year have demonstrated that. Maybe not the last game or two, but I think they've certainly had their moments where they have that look on their face. And so I think it just comes back to being the best version of yourself and being present. You can't be your best if you're not present, and that's what we're fighting for every day.
It feels like that might most apply to Cam Jones, who obviously is a bona fide leader on this team. We mentioned how he is now a finalist for the Bob Cousy Award for the nation's top point guard. How have you viewed Cam's evolution this season, taking on the new role, and yet sometimes in these big games it feels like he puts it all on himself to get the team back into it, to make a big play? How are you navigating that with him?
Well, he does, and then that's where everything's a domino, and even though he is the best player, he does need help from his teammates in different areas. He can get to the point where he's almost trying to do too much, and I've got to help him manage that. But he's been an A-plus teammate. His impact on the guys around him has been as good as anyone that I've coached. He wants to win. He cares about Marquette. Let me tell you guys this. He has a Marquette jersey tattooed on his calf.
Wow.
That's the level of care that he has for this place. It will be very, very hard for him to leave here because of the way that he feels about everything that makes Marquette what it is, basketball and otherwise.
I'm sure everyone in here loves hearing that. They feel just as strongly about the great university and, of course, the basketball program as well. Coach, we're going to let you go. Get ready for that big game this weekend. Thanks for hanging out with us. We will wrap up the show right after this.
Looking
Pulled over, visit zeroinwisconsin.gov to learn more. That's Zero in Wisconsin. Together we can save lives. Wisconsin DOT. That game on Saturday against Creighton, guys, 1 p.m. You can hear it right here on 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee. Have a great night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, Chris. Bye.